Hello and welcome to this Editor++ tutorial. Um, in this one we'll be turning a vanilla item, particularly this booster gate, into a custom item, and also adding some sort of custom properties to it, or customizing the boost amount particularly. So for this, you can use any of these items here. These ones should work as well. Checkpoints are a little bit fiddly depending on some things. But yeah, so the first thing that we want to do is to create a custom version of this item pretty naturally. Now, to do that, we're going to need an item to modify. For the sake of exploring a new sort of set of features, we're going to modify a vanilla, a sort of a standard item that you create. It has a crystal. So we'll have to nullify that. We'll go with Uber Boost 01 or Uber Turbo. Save this. Cool. Okay, now you'll notice that when we saved this is something that happens with anything with a crystal, is that the entity model in the model browser immediately went null. Now it's still is sort of there, it's just not loaded. So we can go into the mesh model and come back, and now it's loaded, for example. You can also just exit the item editor and then re-edit the model or the item, and you'll get it back as well. Okay, so to convert this, so if you try and modify the entity model at the moment while there's an entity model addition and it's a crystal, just to explain that, by the way, the item itself has, so this is the entity model which has all the stuff that we want to modify, but then there's this entity model addition thing, and this stores this mesh crystal. This is what's editable in the mesh modeler here. However, this is also the authoritative source for what the item is, and so if we modify the entity model, then it'll be, and then we try and save the item, the entity model will just get overridden by whatever's in the entity model edition, and particularly the mesh crystal. So we need to get rid of that. To do that, we can just go nullify, bam, now it's gone, and then we'll save this as a new item. Cool. Why can't we save it? There's something else we need to do. Oh yes, sorry, which there was actually a hover thing here. Actually, let's go cancel, discard, and then this is already the item that we want, so we'll just bring it back up here to refresh. So you notice that I didn't pay attention to the note that I wrote to remind me and others of exactly this. So after nullifying, the item will fail to save if any cplug services have materials. To fix clicks, transform materials to mat IDs. So what that means is down here under shape, so any cplug surfaces, you'll notice that under here we have materials, but we don't have any material IDs. Basically, we want to, or one way to fix this, this I think, by the way, is because of the materials reference like an in-game material like this, and we don't want that, basically. So we can go update surface things. That doesn't really matter for this, but transform. Cool, we've got no more materials, but we've got one mat ID, which is what we want. Now we can go nullify and save. Cool. Okay, so now we have prepared our item. You can, any item that has a crystal, hopefully will work with that method for turning it into an item without a crystal. So now what we'll do, we'll just exit that for the moment. Here, we will need to, under current item, we'll just click this because we'll need to copy this. Whatever item you're copying from as a vanilla item, you should always make sure it's loaded into the level. And that just ensures that all of the relevant assets are loaded as well, which we'll need, otherwise you can run into issues. So we'll go back to edit our custom item here, go manipulate meshes. The source item that we want is the gate special 32 turbo. So I'll select that. We want to modify on our destination item, this thing. We want to modify everything under, well no, actually we want to copy the entire entity model. So what we'll do is we'll choose entity model like this node, and then we have to choose our replacement. There's only one option in this case, which is the whole thing. So go this node, go run replacement, bam, there we go. That looks pretty good so far. We can go save, Ultra Turbo 2, and go back, and then Ultra Turbo 2. Cool. So this should work now. Whee! So you'll see it says turbo there, not super turbo. Why did it do that? Basically, we copied a bunch of stuff, but we didn't copy everything that we need to. So if we go back to the editing thing here, we'll go back to the model browser. In terms of fixing this up, what do we need to do? So the first thing, under material IDs here, not this one, sorry, under this one with the trigger S special, you'll see that it has concrete and turbo. We don't care about the physics ID, but this one we need to change to turbo 2. So we can demonstrate that this works now by just going back. Oops, and we got a crash. I'll just pause while I restart track menu. So that is an unfortunate part of when we're messing with vanilla items. You almost always run into a crash eventually. If not like as early as we did, then at the very least when you either exit the editor or close the program, or re-enter the editor for other reasons. Okay, so, and we probably didn't have a save here, so we'll just go back, custom, find our Uber Turbo 2, and then we can place that back. Cool. So, the good thing now is now that we've had the crash, we don't we don't have to worry about having another one. So now that we've got a custom item and the custom item is properly fully loaded within the game, then all the things that we're going to sort of refer to here won't involve sort of crash issues. So you can see that the title, however, now says Super Turbo, which is what we wanted. That was the goal of our last change, to fix that. Now, so in terms of customizing the speed or the impact of this, the part that we want to modify here is under the trigger, and you'll need to do this on whatever thing has the, like whichever special sort of material or reference has the bit that makes it go, or does the thing. That's what we want to be modifying. And I mention that because there's, so we're going to modify this GM surf object, but this one is not the right one, for example. So if we change this to, say, 20, which should make us go much faster, we will immediately see that we don't really go that much faster. So that's just normal. But if we edit the item now and change this lower one to be 20, we'll change this back to 1, save, overwrite, back, and now we do it, then zoom in. Cool. So, yeah, just be aware when you're editing items and like setting, this works for boosters and bumpers, but you do have to set it on the right surface for it to work. Okay, now what else do we want to do? One thing that we can notice here is that we have a yellow trigger instead of the red trigger for a Super Turbo. Now to fix this we need to do some material stuff. So if we go under the C material user instances here, then we'll see there's a few things that are sort of important. So you'll notice that we've got like the sign off and sign on. That's for each side of these. So you can change that. But here we've got the special FX Turbo and trigger FX Turbo. I'm fairly sure it's the special FX Turbo one we want to modify. And basically we have to put a path in here that matches the in-game texture path. So this is a bit tricky. And it's, unless you know the path already or have access to, you're running OpenPlanet in developer mode, then you won't be able to, well yeah, I mean basically you need to be doing one of those two things. So either find the path that you want from somewhere else, or if you want to find it manually, then you can follow this. So we want to go to game data, and then these paths here are basically the paths here, or they are. So if we scroll down to Stadium, then we can, for example, media, and then like material, then we'll see like we've got the ad screens, glossy floors, item spectator, blah blah blah. So Technics specials, for example, will be down here. Technics trims, that one. Yeah, so you can find the various things this way, but you'll notice that not all of the materials are here, not all of the things that we want access to. You can see down, on these two, on the signs, we've got like modifier turbo 2 sign off. And if we look here, there is, I think there is somewhere here a sign off. We've got the special sign off, and there'll be a special sign turbo. So if we set it to special sign turbo and special sign off, then these would change to be those materials. We want the modifiers, however, which apply to a whole bunch of different items within the game that are variants of each other. So if we open up the modifiers folder, which is not in there, it's where is it? It's up here. So under modifier, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different things here. There's some terrain modifiers. I'm not sure what these do particularly, but what we are looking for is, if we look, for example, on a turbo 2, then we'll see all of these different modifiers here, including sign and sign off. Now we also see the special FX material, the trigger FX material. So I don't think the trigger one matters, but the special one does. So in order to change the color here, or I'm fairly sure about this, the color here, we'll want to change the path to match this. And so in this case, we want to get rid of the material and go modifier turbo 2 special FX. Just like that. Okay. By the way, you might see this reactor to boost oriented for a bunch of gameplay IDs. I'm not sure exactly why this shows up all the time, but it does, and it doesn't seem to affect anything. It's just there. Cool. All right, now we can save. We'll save it as item 3. So we can save this now that we've updated the trigger. It won't update yet. If we go back, it still won't update. But then if we edit it once more, it still doesn't update, and that's probably because I did the wrong one here. So modifier turbo 2 trigger effects. Cool. Alright, let's save this one. Back, edit, and now we can see it's updated to the red ones. Cool. Oh. What am I doing? Too many windows and not enough screen space. Cool. So now, see, yeah, super turbo, and we've got the red trigger. So that is, in essence, how you can create one of these, custom version of an in-game item with and modify materials and stuff. We can you can do some even funkier things with this. So, yeah, I mean, you can change those to any of the other ones we looked at. Bumpers and things. I'm not sure, I don't think we can, for example, make this a bumper 2. If we change that and save this as a new thing and go back, I don't think, like, this won't work, for example. So, it does only work with certain things. If we were to edit this to one of the other ones that does work, so like slow motion probably. So again, I don't think, like, this gameplay main direction, this only affects turbo and bumpers. It's in reference to the player's direction, by the way, so a positive Z will, like, push you forward, a negative Z will push you back. Yeah, Y doesn't really do much with turbo, and X will, like, sort of push you, it's relative to the material, sorry, not the player's direction, but it will sort of push you orthogonally. So if you were driving sideways through the material, so say for example this bumper, then actually that's a good idea, let's do that. So what we'll do is we will make a booster that only works if you drive through it sideways. So Uber Turbo sideways. Cool. Okay. So now if we go forward like this and we drive it perpendicular, then nothing much happens. You can see we sort of get a little bit of a slowdown. However, if we come this way and drive through it at an angle, so that was the wrong angle, So if you try going that way, it will push you way a lot away, and this way will push you um, very fast. But if you go through it perpendicular, then it doesn't really do much at all. So that's maybe a fun idea that someone can use. Yeah, you can screw with these signs as well so that it, looks wrong, if you like, or to experiment with some custom thing. You can set the materials to like turbo roulette if you want it to change color. Yeah, okay. So that's one vanilla item conversion. Maybe let's do another one just so we have a bit more. I'll just save settings. What's another? Oh, one thing that. Well, yeah, it's sort of. I mean, it's pretty trivial. I was going to say you can turn a lot of the blocks into custom items pretty easily just by creating a custom item version of it. Is that going to crash or load? Nope, we're going to crash. Alright. I'll just pause while I restart. So yeah, not sure exactly why that happened, but that just often does happen. Maybe it's just this block. I've got another crash. Okay, well, we're abandoning that idea, and we're just going to create a custom version of this item. So we can... so first off, let's, just while we've got it selected, copy the item name, and then we'll create a new item, call it like rolling rotator, say. Just put a V in front of it so that we can find it easily. Now we need to just load the mesh. We can go down here, material IDs, nullify, save, overwrite. Yep, manipulate meshes, find this guy, select, replace our entity model, so replacing the entire thing, run replacement, save, overwrite. Cool. Now if we go back to model browser, we'll see that we have a, like we've created a dynamic version, or sorry, we've created a copy of a dynamic version of an item, which is pretty cool. That's always, yeah, something neat you can do. You'll see that there's some code, it doesn't work for everything, but there's some code to automatically apply the modifier textures and things. What we can do here though is, so we may as well do this at the same time. Quad in out, say 4 seconds. Oops. 4 seconds, and we'll go with like minus 32 to 32. Kill. And rotations, we want to add another one, make this quad in out as well. The timings are all a bit screwed, but I think we need to save and reload too. Get that? Oh, that's funny. I think we edited the... Nope, there we go. It did work. Oh, we may as well. One thing that we can do while we're here is... So there was evidently some reference still to the old, like the in-game item. And so that will fix itself when we reload the game, but it's just sort of a bit funny in the meantime. Yeah, what we'll do is we want to raise this up by, I think, maybe 8 or 16. If it's going... Try 8 first. Or is it... Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the location.translate to be 8 units higher. Oh, just another interesting thing perhaps. So I added a tool, which is the quaternion calculator. And if you type in degrees, so X, Y, Z, like pitch your roll, then it'll spit out the quaternion for you. So you can then just copy it into here. Yeah, if you want to set rotations and stuff on these items. Okay, so we'll just save that. And refresh it. And okay, so we need to go a little bit, I think 12 is what we want. Save, overwrite back, edit. Cool. Okay, so now we have sort of a custom roller looking thing, which might make for some fun targets or whatever. Some fun obstacles. Let's go back, we'll just make sure that, just save. Yep, that looks good. I'll just put a little ramp. Where the... That's hard. Anyway, that's the idea. Cool. So that's, yeah, 2 new items. We can quickly show you maybe some bumper. I can find a bumper item quickly. There you go. Did this actually... Yep. So, if we then edit it, and we'll see down in shape, somewhere here there'll be, yep, bumper 2 for the material. So we can just change this to, well, we can leave it 1 as the, in that, but then we can say like -20 for X. Save this to so bumper and oh, yep, that was bumper 2. Okay, that didn't save for some reason. That's why, of course, because I created this in Mesh Modeler. So we need to, so you notice that we have like materials and material IDs. Ah, this is why. It's because these things are null, which is problematic. It basically makes this transform materials to material IDs button crash. That's a game bug. But it is what it is. What we can probably do is, I'm just going to edit the memory real quick in Cheat Engine. Dum -dum. Just waiting for the admin thing. Gripping content. Okay. Oh, happy birthday to the creator of Cheat Engine, apparently. Okay, and I will need to find the place in memory. Cool, so I just set the length of that to 0, which should fix our problem. We'll go nullify, right, save it. Cool, and now we can set -20 here. Save it, and there we go. Yep, so some examples of making custom versions of vanilla items and booster gates and stuff like that. Cool. Thanks. See you next time.